Sorry about that. I ended up doing some shopping. I had to get some cans to turn into 10-cent fucking redemption things just to be able to fucking buy some food. I ended up depositing 65 cans and I got $6.50. So I got some food, which is nice. But it's absolutely fucking insane. So that's the way that the world is at the moment. Rice is still a little bit under. Hey, Kaz. Sorry, buddy. I'm just making some dinner. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, sorry. Just I was out before doing some shopping, so I wanted to grab something for dinner. So we were just having rice with canned soup and beans and fucking just putting some charge in my phone. No problem. I'll see you a little bit later on then. I just the whole world's gone fucking insane. is on him. Huh. The Pixie Boy. Are you the real? What do you mean by that? What do you mean by am I the real? Am I the real Oblivion Walker? Then yes, I am. I am the one and only Oblivion Walker. You may know me from the Donkey Kong 64 community or the Perky Adventures community. I'm everywhere. Love me some good smoked paprika. Right, that should give me some flavour. Instead of tasting absolute garbage. That's better. Finally, some good fucking taste. I swear. Anyway, how have you cunts been up to? Sorry, how have you cunts been? Everybody been good? I'm used to not having. I'm used to having a beard. It feels very naked without a beard. Like, even today, while I'm in line, I'm just doing this because I'm normally used to playing with my beard. So they're like, yeah, all day I was just invisibly stroking my beard. I was like, stop it. You haven't got a beard anymore. So, yeah. Definitely not used to it.
Just keep it moving, Sergeant, and hit those valves. Shut down the core, and the emergency teleporter will auto-activate.
Reactor core failure. 30 seconds to core boot. Cooling valve opened. Cooling valve opened. Failsafe override disabled. Detonation in 5 seconds. Mission complete.
Don't be stingy with your new Terrablast upgrade. You'll be able to penetrate walls from hard-to-reach areas. Once you run the gauntlet, you should find Creeper right there in his office.
Hey, Dave! Hey, Dave's here. I was only talking about you the last couple of days. I was wondering where you've been. How you been, mate? Haven't seen you for ages. I was almost beginning to miss you. Good to see you again. Hope you're doing well, mate. Even though the whole entire fucking world's gone to shit. Yeah, that's alright. If you had things to do, you had things to do. It's just... I was worried about you, that's all. Normally you always drop by and say hello and stuff like that. And that happened a long time ago, I know, but... Oh, well, yeah, you're right. I can... Ah, you're all good then, Dave. As long as everything's alright. Same with me, just plotting along, struggling. I'm on rations at the moment. Just fucking beans, rice, cans of soup or whatever it is. Anything to give me a meal. Yeah, I've been well. I had a shave. Got rid of the beard. Feels different. I'm not used to not having a beard. I always have a beard. And then you still go to that fucking club? Oh yeah, but I might have to fucking give it a miss this fortnight, I think. Austin Powers. Yeah, baby. Yeah. Yeah, the way everything is, I think I'm going to have to give it up for a while because I'm going to have to save every fucking penny that I can, you know? Where the fuel's going to, it's nearly $3 a litre. And plus, like, lucky I filled up yesterday because fucking now no places have fuel. There is absolutely no places in Queanbeyan that have any fuel at the moment. All the servos are out. So it's like, well, fuck. There's no fucking... Like, thank God I filled up yesterday. Like, fucking cost me $135 to fill my car. Definitely avoid it. Oh yeah, fucking oath. I'm gonna have to. I'm definitely gonna have to. Just find something else to occupy my time, I guess. Well, I've been working on this. That's one way of avoiding it. Nearly done with this actually. I'm actually got 2 levels left to do, and then it's done. Oh yeah, fucking earth. So many hoarding fuel. Like, I think they're gonna put in a fuel restriction soon. Won't matter for me too much. Because the most I do is about 15 kilometres to work and then 15 kilometres back. So if I fill up my car, as long as I take the most direct route, I only have to fill up once a fortnight. But if they're going to restrict fuel, then I'll have to fill up twice a fortnight. Yeah, but what's $40 going to fucking do? It's going to be fuck all. Yeah, so what happened? Must have got purged or something, or maybe he deleted everything off his channel. I don't know what happened, but something happened. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, I know. It's just as if magically just disappeared. I don't know if maybe he got a letter from somebody saying that what he's doing is wrong or something, maybe. Oh yeah, it's the same for me. It's everybody. Everybody sees it. So when a person blocks you, you can still see all their videos. You can still see all of their comments and their posts and stuff like that. The only thing you can't do is interact with their channel and make a comment on their channel. It's the only thing you can't do. I think what Jimmy Mara has maybe done is, I think that somebody might have sent him a cease and desist letter or something, maybe. Or what I hope hasn't happened is that I hope that he hasn't got done for DUI or something. I hope not. Yeah, it would have disappeared if his channel's been blocked by YouTube. So I think maybe it said that he's got to delete everything off his YouTube channel and just keep it bare or something, maybe. I'm not sure. But I'm a little bit worried. I'm a bit concerned. I hope he's alright. No, I'm just saying, like, I don't know, something might have happened. Something might have happened and he's had to delete his channel. Maybe Peppers sent a message to him or something, maybe. And maybe Peppers had something to do with it. A bit strange. Yeah, I know. That's what I'm thinking too. It is a bit strange. I doubt it. No, fair enough. I'm a bit worried about Peppers though. With all of the shit just that happened. Yeah, true. Yeah, that's true. He's got a new venue, which is good, but 35 years and getting barred for life for upsetting a bar staff member. Like, really? Like, in New South Wales, you couldn't be barred for life for that. In New South Wales, you had to be barred for life to, like, I don't know, start a fight with somebody and, you know, glass somebody, that type of thing. That's really the only way you'd be able to get barred for life. Yeah, that's true, that's true. Everybody's a little sensitive cunt. Everybody can't take what goes on, you know. Like fucking back in the old days, yes. Yeah, that's true. You know, back in the old days, you used to be like, you know, you'd tell somebody, "Oh, shut the fuck up, you cunt," and then, you know, a staff member would come up and go, "Oh, mate, just settle down, you know, behave yourself," and you know, it was all fine and dandy. But nowadays, you know, tell somebody to shut the fuck up and you get barred instantly. It's like, really? You fucking cocksmokers.
Complete.
There's been plenty of times where I could have been barred, but fucking nah. And to be honest, it's probably because I play the game kind of well, and you know, I don't really get too much into mischief. Not that I can remember, that is. I've still got all my lives, actually, from when I was doing all of that stuff, and I don't particularly want to look at them. I don't want to look at them because I don't want to see how I was. Maybe one day I'll look at them and I'll go, how much of a fucking idiot I was. How long's it been now since I've had the hard liquor? Ages. I've been a good boy. Attack of the ham and cheese toasties. That's right. 6, 7. I'm not looking forward to the next level after this one. More ham and cheese toasties. That's what these things are called now. That's what we call them. Ham and cheese toasties. When I was a kid, I really hated this level. Really hated this level. Struggled at it quite a lot. Yup, Yob16p, what's going on, my friend? How are you? Welcome to the channel. Ugh. I should have done a little bit better on this section. Ham and cheese toasties definitely did get a few hits into me. But it's not too bad. Maybe. But like you were posting videos at the casino. Maybe the casino found out that he was posting it on YouTube and they might have made him delete everything. It's possible they could have done that, but I wouldn't know. I haven't spoken to him for a while. Alright, this is the hard part. I'll be back. I'm gonna go for a piss real quick. Yeah, that's what could have happened. So this section I had some good RNG on it actually. Now buses are still around. Some of them are actually electric ones now. So there's been a few electric buses driving around nowadays. Well, like, even though, yeah, definitely. Probably what they'll do, they'll make us all fucking drive electric cars soon. I was even talking to mum and dad, and I was thinking of getting an electric car, but the way that I'm going now with everything, fucking no chance in hell am I going to be able to fucking afford an electric car. I'm that far in fucking debt. It's insane. Oh yeah, yeah. There's a couple of petrol stations that are still selling petrol, but it's only 98. No, there's no 91. There's no 95. Yeah, I would be able to, but I'd have to get a Actu AGL cunt to fucking install one of those fucking smart modem things. Well, like my next door neighbour, he's got a testicle, sorry, a Tesla. We call it a testicle. And funny enough, he's got a blue Tesla, so we call it the blue testicle. And he charges his thing for like 8 cents a kilowatt. $19.98. I think I'm close to finishing this level. Yeah, that sounds about right. Costs almost the same amount of fucking petrol. There'll be places that I think you can charge for free. Just takes an insane amount of time. So with your Tesla, you got like a lock that you can use. So it's like, you know, you plug it in and then you can lock it so you can't unplug it. Oh, excuse me. Yeah. And I think that's it for this level now. Oh, yep. Now comes the stupid insane part. I've got a very hot start at the beginning of this level. Make a save state. So then I can load, save state, so then I can load it. Been a bit cold last few days. Yeah, I know, eh? Has been, and yeah, daylight savings is ending soon, which is nice.
The prison colony runs along a dry canyon divided by security gates. It goes on forever, so follow the service route. But you may have to look for alternate ways around some of the gates.
Well, that was less of a hot start than I anticipated. Okay. I okay. All right. I guess I got lucky with that. All right. Okay. Hmm. All right. Hmm. Okay. You on holidays? Nah, not yet. Nah, not yet. Yeah, we're probably gonna end up. Probably gonna end up dying here. Uh, oh. Yeah, all right. All right. Oh, I don't know. Hmm. Yeah, I know. I say it's possible. will be back in a second, boys and girls. Alright, I'm back. Sorry about that. Alright, I'm back. Sorry about that. Just talking to Mum. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe not. It's alright, I could FaceTime them. That's the main thing. I just won't be able to see my doggy doos, that's all. I went and saw Ma yesterday. She's been suffering from it too. Ah, Jesus. I'm getting double teamed here. Oh. Oh, fuck off. Come on. Oh my God. Alright, what am I going to do? I'm going to have to think of something. Hang on, 2 seconds. Oh, yes. Fuck. Yeah, this is getting a bit difficult. Oh, come on. All right. I think we're safe. Oh. Oh. Really? Well, that's good. Oh, excuse me. Must be all those beans that I just ate. All right. Let's do some more science. Oh. Sneaky cunt. Surprise attack. At least these ones don't do as much damage. No, that's not too much. I don't know, I think I might call it here. I'm not going to end the stream, but I think I'm going to. I don't know. Well, play the movie from the beginning. And then we'll watch it from Safe State 7.
It goes on forever, so follow the service road. But you may have to look for alternate ways around some of the gates.
All right, I'll see you later, Dave. Just going to quickly stop the movie so I can have a quick. Okay, that room was empty. Good. Thank God. I was about to say, because this room loves giving you the troll. Yes.
The prison colony runs along a dry canyon divided by security.
Welcome back, Dave. Well, I think what we'll do is we'll just leave it here. I might just watch some YouTube. Watch some YouTube. What do you reckon, cunts? Oh, what? If you wanted me to stop, then that's fine. It's just like it's just how I fucking talk. It's how I always am. But if you want me to stop, I can. I'll just have to think of another word to call you guys. Alright. Hotspot. Hotspot. No hotspot. FBI flower van. I'll have to find out who that name is. Or who's the person who tosses. Oh yeah, if you want. What's going on, tosses? Yeah, it doesn't feel right. What should we watch? Watch 100% TAS of Crash Bandicoot. Do you want to watch commentator version? Let's watch the one with commentary.
This is the 8-Bit Beast and welcome to the Crash 100% TAS. This run aims to complete the game 100% as fast as possible, which means beating all the
Smacks.
levels and getting all the gems.
Cock sacks.
So we'll be seeing a lot of destruction today. Getting all the gems unlocks the secret ending through the Great Hall, meaning that beating Cortex actually is not required in this run. This is the first game in the trilogy, but the last to receive 100% TAS. If you're interested in seeing the other games, I have 105% TAS of Crash 3, and Super Mario has 100% TAS of Crash 2. I've been working on this TAS for a bit over 6 months now, using many of the skills I gained from TAS in Crash 3. I'm very excited to see it complete, and hope you enjoyed this explanation of everything we're about to watch. Okay, so we're going to head straight into level 1, and the first thing that you'll notice is that I'm going to be jumping a lot. I'll barely ever be touching the ground. The reason for that is something called zigzagging. Now, to explain zigzagging, we need to understand how diagonal movement works in this game. If you're moving diagonally, like holding forward and right, that's going to apply both your forward and right speed at the same time, which pretty much makes a right-angled triangle. And if we know a bit about Pythagoras, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, you're going to get about root 2 times the speed you would normally have, or that's moving about 1.4 times as fast as you normally would. So zigzagging sort of takes that diagonal movement speed and pushes it straight forward. Because Crash in the air can't turn around very fast, if you alternate left and right very quickly, the game thinks you're moving diagonally, but Crash is still facing forward. So you get about a 1.4 times speed boost that way.
So I made you shave?
That makes you go a little bit faster.
Oh no, I just felt like it.
Normally you'd move about 24 units per frame, but spinning lets you move up to 28 units per frame. We only have 5 spins when we start.
Feels different though.
Recharge, so we don't see it used.
I'm not used to it.
later level. But we do have a way around that, and this is seen in normal speedruns as well. You can do some clever jumping up to get to those boxes without having the colored gem that we need. Usually speedruns would use invincibility, but we can get away without using that with some precise spinning, and it's a bit quicker not to get the invincibility since that takes time. There's the boxes up there, and we've broken them successfully. And that skips having to revisit this level, which would obviously take a lot of time. The other thing I should talk about in this level is cycles, so you'll notice these boulders rolling back and forth.
Yeah, exactly. You gotta do it every now and again.
Which means they start when the PlayStation is powered on, and then they just keep rolling. So if you get to the boulders at a specific spot, there's pretty much nothing you can do to change where they are. It's always going to be in the same spot at the same time. So I really want to avoid the boulders because I would take damage, and I can usually get around them by timing my cycles well. But if the boulders are in the way, then I would have to wait. So you can only save or lose time in big chunks in this game because there are a lot of global cycles. You can get around it though by managing your spins carefully and managing your mass that you're taking damage on to either time it before or after the cycles. So it's not as black and white as something like a frame rule because you can sort of work around it. So I'm going to talk about some movement tech called box boosting. When Crash jumps on a box, he can get ejected out of it, and if you jump towards the back of the box, you'll get ejected forward, just like this box here. Every time you do that, it saves about a frame or 1/30th of a second, so pretty much every box we see, we're going to save a frame. This also works on objects such as monkeys and turtles and plants, and spikes, but the spikes have a much bigger effect, which saves about 5 frames. It's important to note that those spikes also are on a global cycle, so this level's very dependent on cycles, and you often have to wait for spikes because if they come down, you're not getting past them until they come back up. We have another gem skip coming up here, just jumping over that end goal post there, and that's possible in RTA as well. There's also an alternate method where you jump over the top of the spikes, but it is slower for this TAS. So now we're in this area that we should only need a colored gem to get in, but we obviously don't have that colored gem yet, and we want to break all the boxes in here. These little green things here are slippery slopes and they can make you move faster, and I have to run down those slopes. But you don't get to zigzag when you're on the ground, so it actually doesn't speed Crash up that much compared to zigzagging in the air. We're just jumping through this back section here to break the box, and then we're heading back out here. And you can see me managing my spins there. I'm trying to get spins on those spikes because each spin there saves 5 frames rather than 1 frame, which a spin usually saves. And this is the point where it's worth talking about spin management more in general. So with spins, they'll generally save a frame roughly of movement, and they'll speed you up to 28 units per frame rather than 24 units per frame. That being said, they do take about 2 frames to speed up to full speed, so if you can, it's actually better to chain spins together. If you do multiple spins in a row, they can push you forward 29 units rather than just 24 units, saving a little bit of time there. So you'll see at the start of levels, I tend to use spins in groups where I can, unless I need spins for managing particular sections of levels. So here, if I'm doing a box boost, for example, I'll use a spin to line up my coordinates with that box boost. Because boxes only push you forward to a particular position rather than a particular distance, so you need to be very careful of that. This level's always fun because you can outrun the boulder there with some zigzagging, and it gets to the point where you can barely see it on screen at all. The other thing I should mention here is something that I call Z optimization, which basically means Crash goes along the Z axis for the majority of levels, so your left-right movement you want to minimize as much as possible. With zigzagging inherently, there's always a little bit of left-right movement, so you can use that wheel to move you left and right where you can, but if you have tighter corners, you have to take tighter turns, which obviously slows Crash down. Spinning is most effective when moving straight forward or at straight diagonals, so you'll often see me spinning on straightaways.
Ooh, nice.
Really diagonally.
Reading lamp,
and
eh?
that's part of managing the spin as well.
Love a good reading lamp.
Use up all your spins if you're going to have to wait for a global cycle anyway, so they'll be managed according to that as well. So now we're in upstream, and this is the perfect time to talk about how jumping works in this game. You can usually only jump when Crash is on the ground, but spins can mess with this sometimes. So if you spin and walk off a ledge, then when you end the spin, it'll think Crash is on the ground for a very short amount of time. So what you can do is spin off a ledge and then jump out of that in the air. There's a different version of this called a double jump, which we're seeing there and there. And pretty soon we're going to see a regular sub jump. So yeah, sub jumps are a bit easier to understand, just like that, spin off and then jump out of the spin. But a double jump is really the same concept. You kind of clip into the leaf and then you spin, and it thinks Crash is on the ground, and then you can get another jump out of the air. We're also using the wall physics there to do yet another gem skip, and that saves a revisit to this level. So we'll be seeing a lot of double jumps, just like that one there, and they're pretty useful all over the game. So it sort of involves having Crash flip into the ground and having it think he's in a grounded state while still doing a jump. Often you'll see it paired with a spin, but that spin is really to help clear into the lead. You can get double jumps without spins. But they're really useful over the whole TAS, and we're going to be seeing them quite a lot in this run. And it's just important to note as well that double jumps only work when jumping off of objects that are also platforms, so it's pretty limited in its use cases. You can't just do it off of any piece of ground. So we're in our first boss fight, Papu, and this is probably the point you'll notice that I'm playing on the Japanese version. And I want to talk about some key differences here. Papu has more health on the Japanese version, which does make this fight slower than the English version. But there are some differences in the gem mechanics in the Japanese version. The gems are all reordered. So the key thing with the Japanese version is we avoid a revisit to Road to Nowhere because we get that gem before Road to Nowhere. The gems are all in different orders in the Japanese version. The other thing that makes Japanese faster is the box cutscenes at the end of levels. Boxes will drop on Crash's head when he misses one, and only one box drops on him in the Japanese version, whereas the US version drops the number of boxes that you missed on his head. Obviously that takes a long time if you miss them. Another key difference is with the Japanese version, if you die, you can still get the gem, whereas in the US version, you have to do the level in one. That doesn't really come into play here in the TAS, but it's worth noting. And the other thing is that the level high road is actually shorter in the Japanese version. So overall, 100% ends up being much faster on the Japanese version than the English version, and that's why I've chosen this one for the TAS. Now, speaking of box cutscenes at the end of levels, this will be the first level that we don't get the gem, meaning we're going to have to come back and revisit this level. That's the blue gem there that would appear as a platform, but we don't have that blue gem yet. What that means is that we're going to come back and revisit, and we're going to get a different cutscene at the end of this level. Weird thing about this cutscene is it's actually kind of RNG dependent. You'll see the box drop on Crash's head just once, it's the Japanese version, and then he'll tilt left and then right. And that was pretty quick compared to some speedruns. The reason is I've manipulated
Yeah, there we go.
That kind of depends on when you jump on the end of level portal and where you jump on the end of
They're
level.
good for that, eh?
That wasn't known when the 80% TAS was made, so it wasn't included in that. But in this TAS, I've made sure every time I don't get the gem in the level, get that cutscene, I get the optimal RNG, so I get it as quick as possible. When you do get a gem from a level, the cutscene is consistent, so you don't have to manipulate that, which is majority of levels in this TAS. So in this level of Hog Wild, we're pretty much just going to be riding to the end and collecting all the boxes. It is essentially an auto-scroller, so no matter how much I've tried to speed this up, it's pretty much the same speed every time you do it. I occasionally have lost or gained a couple of frames, presumably due to lag, but yeah, it's basically an auto-scroller. One interesting thing to note about this level is you do get the green gem from it on the Japanese version, and that green gem can be used to skip castle machinery. So that would be an advantage of using the Japanese version for any percent on this game. The other thing to know about this level is it does take away all of your masks, so when I come into the next level I'll have no masks and I'll have to build those up again. That means that I really needed to use up all my masks in the previous level, otherwise they would go to waste when they got taken away here. So we're on our way into Native Fortress, which is going to be another one of those really big climbing levels, but unfortunately I'm in a really bad spot of the global cycle right now. If I just went full speed up to the Crusher, I would get blocked for about a second or two. So what I'm going to do with that time at the start of this level is actually slow down and grab a mask, and then that mask won't lose any time to grab, even though it looks really slow like this. It actually won't lose any time because I'm waiting for that global cycle anyway. So given that I'll have the mask after that global cycle, I'm going to save a bit of time later on with it. And that was the Crusher right there that I had to wait on, and you can see it was a pretty tight fit through it. You'll notice I'm not breaking all the boxes here, and that's because this again is another level we have to revisit. Gem is pretty high up in the air, so unfortunately we can't get it on our first trip in here. So we'll see here the Crusher is about to crush me pretty soon, and I'm actually going to be jumping over a Crusher and out of bounds a bit, so that'll be coming up in just a moment. So it's this section just here, over the Crusher, we take some damage, and that was the use of that mask that I grabbed earlier, and now we're just going to go up to the climbing section. Obviously that saves a bit of time, because I don't have to wait for the cycle on the Crusher coming back. So the other thing I should mention is like a tribesman boost. It's one of the strategies in these levels. So the green tribesman people, if you spin them, you'll get a little boost and you'll hit about a speed of 10 rather than a speed of 7. So you can actually retain that speed by spinning through the air, and it's pretty good for maintaining your speed over a bit of distance. With a box boost, that only speeds you up for a frame, but with a tribesman boost, that does it for a bit longer. Now we've got a big climbing section to finish off this level. You really need to maintain your spins for those climbing sections because it's quite easy to run out of spins. So you basically need to come in with 5 spins, meaning you miss out on all those opportunities before to hit those crusher boosts and green slime boosts and everything like that. Okay, so that's pretty much all of Island 1 done in this game, but we will be coming back for a few revisits so we couldn't get the gems in those levels before. We're on to Up the Creek now, which is another water level. We'll see lots of double jumps and everything again, and I'm going to grab this mask here. We'll see why in just one moment. I'll double jump off this leaf, and then damage boost off this fish. That lets us cross that gap a lot easier. It is possible to do that one without damage, but it is a bit slower because you have to use the wall geometry. Again, you can see these double jumps are really helping out when I can't quite make the leaf cycles. Obviously, it would be a bit better to make the leaf cycles because double jumps are a tad slow, but it is nice to have that option available. We're climbing up the wall here, and this is going to be a fairly lengthy one. You'll notice that there's no boxes on the path here.
Oh, no problem, Dave. You have a good one, mate.
The reason I climb
Look
up
after yourself.
so I can skip a couple cycles. It is actually slower to climb the wall because you have to slow down while you're climbing. It is really good if you're going to have to wait for cycles anyway to use the wall instead. Bit of backtracking there to get all the boxes in the level, and I have to make sure I don't go too far ahead of that TNT before it explodes. So again, we'll be using the wall climbing there because that leaf gap is a little bit too big to jump over. It's only a pretty short trip into the wall there. The other thing I should mention about these levels is
Yeah, no problem, Dave.
logs, you can go on the left or the right hand side there and not lose as much speed while climbing up. You have to be pretty precise with it though. Sometimes spinning helps you climb up as well. Okay, we're coming up to our next boss here, which is Ripperoo, and the idea of this is you want to explode TNTs on him, hit him 3 times, and then use 1. The intended method is that you jump on the TNTs and set up the timer on the TNTs, they'll then blow up on him. You'll see I'll be able to spin those TNTs and actually hit him with that blast radius from spinning. Now you might be wondering, how do I spin the TNTs and remain safe? And the reason is the blast radius just gradually expands out. So if you're able to run away from the TNTs quick enough, you can spin a TNT and not take any damage. It's kind of a cool little thing, similar to a nitro jump or something like that. I die right at the end of Ripperoo. It's a bit weird. It doesn't save or lose any time. It's just a cool thing that you can do at the end rather than watching the intended cutscene. I thought originally maybe it would mess with the global cycles because when you die it does reset the global cycles, but unfortunately it didn't have any impact on that. Alright, next up is the Lost City, and this level's going to have a really interesting piece of tech called lizard boosting. You'll see what it is here. So what the lizard does is when you spin against it, it ups your speed by a significant amount, and you can retain quite a bit of that speed by continuing to jump and spin. We're going to see another lizard boost coming up pretty soon, but it'll allow us to do a bit more of an extra skip with it. So with these crushes, you can get above them and kind of get stuck in the wall, and you can jump up. So we're going to see here, jump up above it, get stuck in the wall, and jump up here. That saves a bit of backtracking around this section. Now this section will have a few double jumps, so here and here. And then we jump up these platforms here. You'll notice I'm jumping on some of the platforms when they're in the wall, and you can actually achieve that by facing crash into the wall and sort of holding forward into the wall. So you have to maintain your jumping angle to face crash into the wall, which is a tad slow, but it does save a lot of time because you don't have to wait for those platform cycles. Obviously, a lot of these out-and-in crushes are on the global cycles, so you've got to be really careful in this level. But conveniently, you can jump around them if you need to, it just loses a tiny bit of time. So I'm able to get boost off most of these lizards where I can, but some of them I do need to jump up and access boxes, so I won't be able to do that there. And we've got every box there, so we won't need a revisit to this level.
Avoid the CBD.
Alright, so in these gem cutscenes, you'll probably notice my percentage isn't climbing that quickly, and you might be wondering why I'm not doing any of the bonus levels. It turns out that actually doesn't really matter for this game 100%. We'll get 100% when we get all the gems, but we'll see that later. It's actually pretty funny how much it jumps by. Alright, now we've got Temple Ruins. You'll see me get the Aku Aku at the start of this level. Reason being, usually the mask takes a while to drop, but because I had to break the other boxes there anyway, I could get the mask without really waiting that much for it. Got a bit of a TNT boost there, and then we're going to be hitting some potential global cycles. So these doors open and close, and they are in global cycles, and you can see I had to wait for that one a bit there. It's pretty inconvenient, but there's not much we can do about it. Those doors are probably one of the most significant cycles in this game. So the other thing I should mention is box breaking. These levels have quite a few boxes in them and very big stacks. stacked, you would anticipate that you just spin and break boxes. Can't get more complicated than that. It actually does. So holding spin allows you to break boxes for a bit longer. So when you do an initial spin, your spin hitbox comes out and you break some boxes. But when you hold it for longer, that hitbox remains for longer. So if you're ever trying to break boxes in this game, you want to hold spin for a longer time. You can also see these flame things here. I can avoid damage by just jumping on the edge of it there, but you have to be really careful. More often than not, I actually can't avoid damage on those things, so I have to either take the hit or do some weird, very slow geometry jumping around it. You can avoid flame damage if you're grounded and spinning through flames, which is a weird thing that I found out, but it's pretty rare that you're in that situation. The other thing I should mention is just the bats at the end of that level, and sometimes if they're coming past, you have to spin through them and waste a spin essentially. Alright, so next level coming up is Road to Nowhere, and this is one of those big levels that's fairly linear, notorious for being quite difficult, especially in the remakes, and also well known for the trick where you can jump on handrails. I won't be doing that too much, but I will be doing it occasionally. So these bridge pieces break off, you can get boost off little things like that, and there's a little ice bit there. And really importantly, this level is very different on the Japanese version because this doesn't require a revisit. Because we already have the gem needed for this level, we can ride that here and get all the boxes, whereas if you're playing on the English version, you would have to do a revisit to this level at 100%. One of the many reasons why Japanese is faster for this category here. So I can do a few box breaks here and a couple TNT spins. Normally you'd wait for those TNT timers, but with Taz Precision we can avoid those explosions pretty well. You just got to be really careful about jumping off these gems as soon as possible, because obviously you don't want to waste time there. It's alright a cheeky sub jump off the gem to get back a bit sooner as well. So again, just doing box boosting and grouping spins together as much as possible. General movement check in this game. It's all small stuff that saves a frame or two here and there, but it's really important to do. You'll also see me spinning forward off those ice blocks there, and that's because with slippery slopes, spinning off them can sometimes help you get a boost, but it really depends on the timing. So be careful with that. Now we're going to jump over here and get a few secret boxes there. Those bridge pieces that I'm jumping on, they're not just the ones I chose to jump on, they're pretty much the only pieces that are actually there. So yeah, it's a pretty treacherous part of the level, this one. You notice as well these gem cutscenes getting slightly longer every time. There's not a whole lot we can do about that, but they do get ridiculously long towards the end. Alright, now next level is Boulder Dash, so another boulder chase level. One thing to note about these levels is that they're actually pretty laggy. So when I originally did this pads, I was trying to match the 80% pads through all the Vion ones, just so I got good at movement and view that I wasn't missing anything. But these levels caused a big issue for me because of all the lag, really. They're pretty hard to optimize, and you've got to do your turns early. So you'll notice me already kind of taking a weird angle here, and that's so that I can hit the edge of this cave and kind of get around these pillars well in advance. So you do get a little bit of free movement with your zigzagging. You do move left to right naturally. So you don't want to take sharp turns, you just want to take light turns. Now all these platforms as well that are moving, they're objects, so I can get boost off them. You can sometimes get boost off the little brown fences, and you can get boost off the boxes. The box boosting on these levels is really hard because all the boxes are under low roofs, which you often bonk on. You'll notice me jumping on the end of those platforms there.
Oh, welcome back, Kaz.
As much as I can. This is
We
level that requires a revisit
got a little bit
gem at the end.
of progress in prison
Last levels we do in the game.
in that level, so
I did manipulate the RNG. So you'll notice that I jumped a little bit more forward.
I'll stop for tonight. So
It's not a mistake, it's to manipulate.
now we're just watching a
You can actually lose very significant.
commentated 100% TAS of Crash Bandicoot.
Alright, next up we have Sunset Vista. Just kidding, it's actually Slippery Climb. That might be a surprise to you if you've played this game before, but in the Japanese and English versions, they swapped the location of Slippery Climb and Sunset Vista. Just a little strange change. You'll see a lot of sub jumps in this level, so you might notice soon a little sub jump out of here.
Maths, MAFS, what's
Of course,
that?
The level's pretty reliant on motorcycles when
Who's
you
that
climb
cunt?
on the left-hand side, but we don't
Is he
have
Australian?
with that here. There is a little bit of waiting around there.
I remember that game. Yeah, it's a good game.
I was able to get some jumps off.
I'm a big fan of Crash Bandicoot.
I can occasionally get 2 jumps off, but yeah, that one there was a really, really hard one to get. Luckily, I didn't have to optimize them too much because I'm really waiting on the global cycles
Ah,
platforms coming.
Married at first sight, hey?
If I had to optimize them anymore, it would have been an absolute nightmare. You'd see a few double jumps off these.
To be honest, I wish I was married at first sight.
Not a whole lot I can do to speed things up. You'll notice the spikes that are kind of around the place. I can avoid taking damage on those by spinning just like that, and then I get the bird there. But yeah, there'll be a double jump coming up off this platform, so I can make that jump there, and it all depends on cycles. So as you can see in this game, it's very global cycle dependent, but realistically, there are clever ways to get around quite a few of the global cycles.
Hey, when you abbreviated it as maths, I thought it was
Obviously, spin management is a huge
something
factor,
like a
so
YouTube
there's
channel.
boxes to break, but also a lot of spikes that I don't want to take damage on. So this will be Island 2 pretty much done, and coming up next we have Koala Kong. Keep your ear out, the music is a little bit different than the English version. And this boss is kind of interesting because it depends on RNG. So Koala Kong will throw a few boulders throughout the fight, and then the last boulder he throws, you can spin back and hit him with it. But before he throws that very last boulder, he's going to kind of walk out. And
Like watching a train wreck.
Dependent on luck. So we have a bit of manipulation to do in this fight here. But realistically, once you've manipulated out the luck, it's pretty much just an auto controller, so not a whole lot to say. That being said, this is the perfect opportunity to talk about something called zip-zagging, which I don't use in this task. Now, if you've seen some Crash tasks before, you might be familiar with zip-zagging. It looks absolutely bonkers. So what happens is Crash will jump and you kind of wiggle the analog stick or D-pad back and forth along the diagonals. What happens with that is he builds up a lot of negative speed, and then he can face Crash away from where you want to go and just zoom off in whatever direction you want. And Crash gains an absolutely huge amount of speed and can zip through levels in like 10-20 seconds. There is a limit to how fast you can zip through levels, because if you start outrunning the camera, the collision doesn't load and you fall through the ground and die. But you can get through the levels very quickly. The reason I haven't used zip-zagging is because realistically it makes all the levels look the same, and it kind of gets less interesting after you see a few levels like that. But if you are interested in seeing some zip-zagging, I have done a Crash 1 any percent low optimization demonstration for low TAD, which is basically a TAS just without a whole bunch of optimization put into it. And I've also done a few full-on Crash 3 tasks that incorporate zip-zagging. So it's pretty cool the first time you see it, but I think it's more interesting to have a TAS which the movement looks a bit more traditional and it's not completely broken. Zip-zagging is kind of similar to like Super Swing in the Wind Waker if you've ever seen it, and it kind of looks like a BFJ Mario 64 once you pull it off.
What's going on, Kaz?
So this level is heavy machinery, and it brings in a very common theme in this game of camera stuff. So the camera's kind of weird in this level. It's going to follow you, and you'll see I'll jump down here kind of early and then zip off to the left. I should have gone more to the right before I jumped down, but I didn't actually need to. The camera still followed me. Now, if I turned left too early, the camera wouldn't have followed me at all, and I would have been able to go a bit further, but then I would have fallen through the ground because the collision hadn't loaded. Just like what I said with zigzag before, the collision sometimes doesn't load if you're off screen. So this level has a lot of very careful balancing of the camera, making sure that we don't go too far off screen, but have the camera follow us. That box stack right there was horrible to figure out how to break. It was, took me a very long time. Now I got a little damage boost there and a jump up to get to this section. We're going to do big auto scroll skips here. Going to do a little camera work down to jump here and jump up on these zippers. So when you spin on these, you get an instant bounce. So that's why I can jump up those really quick. Now I'm doing something called like 3D jumping around there, because normally you have to like avoid the walls, but you can just come out into 3D in the camera and then that avoids all the walls for you.
Oh, nice.
Next is the
Looks like you've done some very productive things today.
It does have a gem path that we normally have to unlock and do a revisit, but we will have a skip for that, as you'll see later on.
I actually was naughty and I've leveraged my
This path that I'm going to take is fairly standard through it.
grandfather's passing to
These little bolts of
take
electricity
a couple of
can be
days off.
frustrating to deal with, but luckily
So,
they don't cause too
I'm
much
not working tomorrow or or Tuesday.
Now this Aku Aku box,
He passed
broken.
he passed away
Hoping to
ages
come
ago,
back and
but
be able to nab the mask, but unfortunately it was gone.
I've managed to leverage
I like to have as many masters as I can.
his
just for
passing
boost
to
reasons, but yeah, this wasn't an option
give
here.
me a couple of
The
extra
reason it
days
takes so
off.
long to get a mask is because when you break it, you have to wait for it to fly all the way up and then down again.
Just because I wanted a couple of extra days off.
So I hit the enemy into the box up there, and I'm
Couldn't
going
do
to head straight back, and then we're going to do the gem skip. So there's a wall coming up here that we can actually get hooked on, jump up over, and then come down to this box here. And now we're on the secret gem path.
This was
Really shouldn't be
years ago.
Gonna use the
He
TNTs
didn't
to break all
he
the
didn't pass
boxes,
away
and then
just a few
we're gonna
minutes
come
ago.
down to the gem path.
Type of
We're
thing.
gonna do another little wall jump
He
down here.
passed away ages ago,
So yeah,
but
walls are kind of weird
I've-
in this game.
I've
Sometimes you can just get hooked on them.
managed to
So,
leverage
I'm not
his
sure how it works, but they're pretty consistent. They can
passing to
RTA, so we have a consistent
give me a couple of extra days off.
quite a few years ago.
Shouldn't say something. I shouldn't say that because you never know. Work might find out.
Alright, so next level coming up is Generator Room, and it's going to look pretty different to an RTA speedrun. There's a lot of scenery around the level, and we can often jump on that to cut corners really, really well. But we're actually going to
Nice.
invincibility in this level for the first time. Invincibility is really good in RTA, but not as good in Taz. So when you're walking on the ground with invincibility, it goes about as fast as if you were zigzagging in the air. Now, given that Taz can perfectly zigzag, invincibility doesn't really save much time. But in RTA, since a human can't perfectly zigzag, invincibility is pretty fast. I hit the mask there and come back and hit the box. I've got to wait for the mask to come down anyway. You'll see me cut some really big corners with this invincibility. Like there. And here, coming up. Invincibility helps to break big box stacks, so that's the other reason why it's pretty fast. It's going to run out just here as I'm hitting the auto scroller.
Yeah, no, he passed away years ago. Sorry,
Right,
but
it's really tight, and it's one of the big reasons why
I wanted a couple of extra days off so I could just
really slow auto scroll, which I wouldn't
rest.
do. So that path looks pretty much the same as the end sense has, just with breaking a lot more boxes along the way.
Not a young whippersnapper like I used to be.
Toxic waste. There's not much to say about this
So,
level apart from that it's pretty clearly.
Some days I just gotta fucking
but it is very
take a couple more days off.
You'll notice I skipped the mask there. Reason being, in the Japanese version, when you select the mask, you get a little text box that takes the frame to clear. So I don't want to get masks if I don't actually need masks. You would think I quite often need masks, but there's a boss level coming up next, and that's going to take away the mask anyway. Break the top box here, get a boost off the bottom box, that's always useful. And then we're going to be box boosting through here as much as we realistically can. I'm going to try and use the enemies to break boxes where I can, but obviously not boxes that I can boost off, like this TNT. Dodging the barrels is quite difficult. It kind of depends what cycle you're on, but you can often just jump to the side and make it through.
My granddad passed in 97. Oh yeah. Nowadays it's different, like
So the next level coming up is the boss, and it's Pinstripe. Pinstripe basically just shoots a crash and then occasionally becomes vulnerable, and then you can hit him when he's vulnerable.
well,
The interesting thing about Pinstripe is there's been an improvement found on this fight since the end.
my father was adopted, right? So we've actually got two sets of grandparents. Yeah. We got the, I call it the non-biological related granddad, and then the biological related granddad. So technically we've got
Again, for whatever reason,
3 sets of grandparents.
US music.
Sorry, Velos. Oh, thanks, buddy.
Well, play around in this box.
Yeah, it's alright.
His head quite a bit. I always like to
Yeah, as I was saying
play
before,
around if I can. It's actually pretty difficult.
it's going back a couple of days, you know.
You will fall down
I've come to accept it. We all eventually
But there we go.
move on one day. You never know. I could
So
die
next one
tomorrow.
coming up is the High Road, and this is another key difference between
Ours
the
is quite
Japanese
small.
and English version.
Yeah,
This
right.
level's actually cut in half for some reason on the Japanese version. Like it just stops, and then there's the end of the level. And in fact, you can actually just keep going past the end of the level, and the camera keeps going. That's the interesting thing about this game is the camera data sometimes hints at what was in development. So the camera keeps going at the end of this level because, well, the US version keeps going. And in some other levels, like I think Sunset Vista, the camera keeps going past the end of that level, and the beta version ended up going further. When they made the final version of Sunset Vista, they cut it shorter. So that's the interesting thing about this game. You can see the leftovers in the camera work. This is pretty much the same as what we saw before. We're going to be boosting off of those icy slopes and then boosting off the turbos where we can. And that's the end of the level. Quite a short one indeed, and we won't need to revisit this. Alright, now speaking of Sunset Vista, that's going to be the level coming up next. So in the English version, we normally see slippery climb here, but that's not the case in the Japanese version. This level is really, really long, and it's got a lot of cycles in it. We can see that flame cycle straight away. I've just lost the mask to it, that's fine. That's before the damage boosting. But I'm going to be carefully managing my skin for the lizards and the bats here. Got a few lizard boosts here. And I actually had to wait for that lizard boost because if I did it too soon, I would hit the cycle with the pusher. Sorry, a little sub jump there to get in front of the pusher. And another lizard boost here to zip past everything. Now again, we're going to be seeing a lot of pushing crash towards the wall to skip waiting for these platforms to come out, and when we hit these cycles here, a lot of double jumps to kind of climb a bit quicker. Now that cycle obviously was in a terrible spot, but luckily with Taz tools we can usually beat these cycles. I had to take damage there because the flames are actually really hard to avoid, and another damage there just to damage.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Now I'm going to get a mask here, which is
Well, like when we found out,
this cycle to come back in. As you can see, I barely.
when my father found out he was adopted, it opened up a whole fucking massive can of worms. Like, fucking.
And another bad cycle.
It was insane.
Pretty bad luck when Taz in this with the global cycles.
And then we found out
Okay,
that,
so we got our third.
yeah, we finally met the father.
Go to a bonus level this time. These levels
But then the father passed away.
Other levels in the game that you can't normally get to. You don't actually need to get all the boxes here.
So,
You're just going to get to the end as fast as possible.
we never actually got to meet my father's father,
If you jump away from him quick enough, he can die.
which is
That
fucked.
actually brings you back to the level with the
So we
key.
had a lot of
So you're
questions.
actually grabbing the key there and jumping off the edge.
And now that he's passed away,
So I'm actually pretty impressed that people
those questions are now forever lost. Or those answers, sorry, are now forever lost. So, yeah, we're pretty much, you know, we've just had to accept defeat, you know. We're never going to find out why he, you know, gave my father up or something like that, you know.
Sunset Vista done.
It's all just
Definitely the longest levels in this game.
one of the fucked things, but
Alright, so coming up next is the level Lights Out.
Yeah.
The gimmick of this level is that the Aku Aku masks
LEDs aren't good for growing pot. You need incandescent ones.
And this level
The thing about the incandescents is that chews through your power.
So I'm going to be going through the level normally, and I'm not going to grab any Aku Aku masks. That's partially for speed, because I don't want the text box of grabbing them, and also it's fun to shoot the entire level in the dark. What you can't see is that I'm managing some platform cycles that move back and forth. So I'm jumping off the edges of the levels and trying to make those cycles. I want to be jumping on the platforms as they're moving forward through the level, because then Crash can walk along them and sort of use some of that platform forward moving speed to boost a bit forward through the level. I had to jump on this Akalaki mask because it was in a very tight doorway and I couldn't get through very easily without breaking the box. Keep in mind that although I do get a text box and that loses some time with an Akalaki mask, I still do get a box boost by jumping on the box, so that also saves a bit of time. Generally, it's slower to grab the masks, but realistically, it doesn't lose as much time as you might expect. And there we go. See me zipping to the left on that end of level portal and jumping a bit further than I needed to. That again is to manipulate this screen to make sure I don't lose any time on it. If you do lose time with it, looks like this Crash looks back and forth a few times. Alright, next up is Jaws of Darkness, which is another absolutely huge level. You can see me getting the Akiwaki mask, and that's primarily due to a lot of these flames in this level. I often need to take damage on them like that to get across, but also I want to get invincibility a bit later.
Fuck, I haven't had it for ages.
Through them, they're not as much of a threat as you might think, and same thing goes for these bats here. But again, I'm plagued by the global cycles in this level. So that's the other thing about grabbing those.
It's been a while since I've had it.
I didn't lose any time to grab those masks before because I was waiting on the global cycles anyway. And that's part of the key to routing this game. I often had to go back and redo levels just to do extra mask management.
Miss the feeling though.
So again here we're using a lot of sub jumps to cut corners where we can. Spinning enemies into boxes is always beneficial. And now we've got the invincibility. The invincibility is going to help us break boxes from a distance like that. And like this. Now we've got an absolutely huge stack of boxes here, so I'm going to do a combination of spinning while holding circle, getting underneath boxes to break them on my head, and then using invincibility to break those boxes. But again,
Fuck, I haven't had fucking edibles for ages either.
It doesn't really matter too much.
I remember we
I gotta wait for it anyway.
were at a party and
But part of the thing of managing global
I laid them out on the table, and me being me and not realising that they were edibles, I ate like fucking 3 of them. And they were like fucking super strong. Right? Not just strong, but like super strong. And fucking I ended up fucking just going 5 minutes in, I was just like, ooh, I feel nice. And then 30 minutes later, I was like, oh, fuck. Oh, shit. I feel fucking absolutely fucking wonderful.
Alright, coming up next is the castle machinery level, and the interesting thing about this level is that you can skip it in any percent if you have the green gem. Unfortunately, skipping it means you wouldn't be breaking any boxes, so we're going to have to do the whole level in 100%. But as we come into the level, just keep your eye out to the left, you'll see a green gem. If we wrote that up, we'd skip the entire thing. You might be thinking with some zigzagging or something, I could make that jump across the end level portal there, but it doesn't actually work. There's an invisible wall there stopping us. So one of the really exciting things about this level is there's a very big global cycle that I managed to make. It takes about 13.3 seconds. So I'll point that out when it happens. But everything is very tightly optimized to make it happen. These conveyor belts are also a key thing. You can see me walking on them. Now, as I said before, walking is slow because you can't zigzag, but the conveyor belts give you enough of a boost that it's actually worth it in the end. You can see me doing a lot of double jumps off these platforms, and that just allows me to jump up a bit quicker than waiting for them to rise. I'm just going in front of the steam here, and that's no longer a threat. And trying to jump down and cut corners with the camera as much as possible. I was pretty pleased with those 6 boxes because I could get through them without really losing too much time. And going to more conveyor belt territory. This bit coming up is my favourite box break in the Taz. You saw a big lag spike in there as well. The game actually lagged there. And here's a cycle that I saved. So up here and then this platform I just barely catch. And if I didn't catch that, I'd have to wait 13.3 seconds for it to come back down. Skipping the auto scroller here with a bit of damage, and that is the end of the level, right next to the start of the level. Alright, coming up next is the last boss that we're going to fight in this run, and that's Nitrous Brio. We don't fight Cortex because you actually don't need to in 100%, it's kind of strange. But the premise of this boss is he's going to throw some green fuel on the ground and we're going to jump on that.
Yeah, I love edibles.
So there it is. But if you get too close to him, he puts his arms up and that actually makes him throw the green fuel a bit slower. So you'll notice that I'm hanging all the way towards the back of the stage. Reason for that is I don't want him to put his arms up. You'd be surprised how far away you can be and he'll still put his arms up. It looked like I spammed through some of that goo, but I'm technically jumping on it. It's a little bit weird how it works. You got to sustain your jumps a bit, and it was pretty hard to figure out. But I used the any percent as a guide. I saved a couple frames on there, just by not having his arms go up, but I think it was only 1 or 2 frames that I actually saved. And then yeah, those last 3 hits you just got to jump on him. They're pretty much an auto scroller. Like you can jump at Embryo and then be jumping on him and not hit him yet. You'll only hit him when he's actually vulnerable. Alright, now we're up to the lab, which is our last level before we really have to start backtracking. We've got these lightning bolts to deal with and also these doors. They can be a bit tricky. Often I can get away without using the mark boxes, which close the floors in, because I can just jump over the floors. I spin that TNT from the back. That was actually really hard to line up. And then I just jump straight past these lab guys. Alright, so I'm spinning him forward, and he actually broke a few boxes back there, including like a TNT. That's a really big time save for him to do that, because he opens the door earlier. Usually with these doors, if you hit the boxes, the doors take a while to open, like that, and you can actually get stuck on the doors. So any earlier that you can open the doors always helps. And that's really the last level we've got before our backtracking session. You'll notice that I get a coloured gem from this, and that's the last coloured gem that I'm going to get up here, and I'm going to work my way back through the map. So now we can do all those revisits that we weren't able to do before, because we should have all the coloured gems that we need to get through there. Coming back, our first revisit here is lights out. You'll remember that I needed a gem to get up to the top area, and now we have that gem. So I'm going to be breaking all the boxes along the way here, and now you can actually see the level that we were doing before. Isn't that wonderful? So again, these platforms are pretty stationary, but the secret is there'll be ones that move back and forth. There's a lot of sub-jumps off the right side of the screen, and these doors can be an absolute pain to jump on with. I was pretty lucky with spices in this level overall. Yeah, and I was able to make it pretty well. Unfortunately, with some of the box layouts, getting a box boost jump off of these isn't always possible, but sometimes if you jump just behind the box and spin, your spin hitbox hits the box, and then you get a boost anyway. And that's the yellow gem we need, so I'm just going to wait on that. Do have to stay standing on it, so I can't be jumping around now. And I'm going to jump as early as possible around here, get those last 3 boxes, and beat the level.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I was sort of the same way.
Next revisit we have is fumbling.
I still do it.
Level that we need the key to open before. So you see
I still love it.
when I finished that level, so I had to come back.
But I don't smoke it as much anymore. I
A lot of cheeky sub jumps.
gave it away.
It's one of my most favorite parts.
Used to be every single day.
Doing that normally is pretty difficult. Just got to make sure you don't die, but obviously that's not a risk in the tabs. And this level's pretty much the same as Lights Out, just with the extra risk there of...
Had a couple of too many close calls with New South Wales Police.
With these moving platforms, I can catch the cycles when they're moving backwards, but it is a lot slower. First of all, when they're moving backwards and I jump on them, it does speed for a little while. It makes me move a bit slower while I'm on them and jumping off of them. The other thing is, usually the way that I do the cycles is by doing double jumps or sub jumps, and that involves spinning while the game thinks you're grounded. Now, it's great that it thinks you're grounded because you get another jump out of it, but realistically, if it thinks you're grounded, then zigzagging doesn't work. So on that first half of a double jump, like the first jump, so to speak, you actually can't zigzag and it does lose a bit of time. So you have to be careful. The double jumps are really useful, but they are pretty slow. Okay, and that marks all the Island 3 levels done, and we're going to go back and do some revisits in Island 2 and Island 1. At this point, we actually have a bit of flexibility in the order we tackle the levels. So I could do whole hog first, or I could go all the way back to Island 1 first. And the way that that all works out is primarily due to global cycles, but also due to masks. I do have a mask right now, so I'm not going to do whole hog. I'm actually going to go all the way back to Island 1. The reason I want to skip whole hog for now is because I would lose my mask if I went in there. I want to keep my mask at this level. If you've watched RTA speedruns, you'll notice they do whole hog, and that's because they want a mask for the last boulder chase level. The reason they want the mask is because they have to spin a TNT and they use it to damage boost 3. With a Taz, I can avoid the blast radius, so it's not a big issue for me, and I can put the mask to better use here. So there's a slight change in level order compared to RTA, but it is what it is. It's a little bit faster to do it this way. Of course, it all depends on how your global cycles line up, and as you can see, I'm getting some pretty close calls with these boulders. I did have to take a damage to get through that one just before, but I managed to avoid the rest of them. Now that we have the gem, we can come down this path. All we need to do is step on it and then walk straight off. So you normally ride the gem downwards, but you don't even need to do that. As long as the gem's there, then the area kind of loads underneath. Whereas if you try and fall down there without the gem, you just die instead. Now what I've got come next is Native Fortress Revisit. You might be wondering, do I have many options in terms of level? I talk so much about global cycles, and you might think, oh well, realistically, you could.
I was a big fiend for it too.
Global cycles work.
I would fucking go.
It's not that simple. You do need all the gems before you come back and do your revisits due to map movement. But also, when you beat a level, it pushes you one level forward on the map. So that's kind of locked in, and if I try to do the levels all backwards on my revisits, I keep getting pushed forward when I complete levels, so that would actually be slower overall. But we're coming back into this level, using some key strategies such as spinning down green slopes, spinning off spiky things to get boost forward, and then saving my spins for the climbing sections. With these climbing sections, the main bottleneck is actually hitting the little spinners with your spins, not actually climbing up as quickly as you can. So I actually climb up suboptimally so that I can hit the spinners sooner, because if I climb up optimally, I'm actually too fast for the spinners, and I actually lose time to waiting for them. You'll notice when I land on green slopes, sometimes I will spin, and that's because I don't want to lose speed while landing. A lot of people go in the background here, but I don't really need to. It's too valuable having little spike boosts and green slime boosts. If you went in the back, you'd be able to move at normal speed through this whole thing and not have any obstacles. But it's weird, because in a Taz, the obstacles...
Brimstone does about 26, yeah, right. I
started
when I was 18.
But it will cause some issues a little bit later on. And this is the gem path we couldn't get to before. It was too high up to reach it without that red gem. I'm going to jump down through this box. I did have an idea of sub-jumping underneath it and bouncing off of it, but that didn't pan out. Here's where I have to kind of wait for the flames a little bit. I have to kind of slow down and bounce over them. It's a bit of a shame, but it is what it is. You can see me bouncing on one of those stacks of floor, and it looks kind of suboptimal. The real reason I did that is because I actually ran out of spins. Climbing those sections is really spin intensive, and even if you have 5 spins coming into it, sometimes you don't even have enough to do it optimally. Alright, so at this point I've got 2 levels left, which is the boulder chase level and hole to hog. I'm going to do whole hog first, the reason being that won't push me forward on the map, whereas the boulder chasing level will. So whole hog's another auto scroller, which gives me a
Drying out banana leaves.
timing in this game.
I didn't know it got you high.
As timing generally works,
Interesting.
it times from power on until your last input.
Maybe I'd have to try that one day.
The time for this TAS would be about 56 minutes and 41 seconds. Pretty good. But realistically, in a normal speed run, you don't time like that. You time from where you press start on the title screen until when you lose control and see Torna. If I did that, this TAS would be 55 minutes and 56 seconds. Also pretty decent. But in fact, when I use the emulator, the loading times are slower than on the console. On consoles, people tend to run on PS2 with something called fast disk speed, and that makes the game load faster. This tends to save about 5 to 6 seconds every level, so that includes the loading times coming out and into the level. All that adds up, and it loses me a significant amount of time over the run. It's just a bit over 3 minutes in terms of loading times. So all things considered, if I did RTA timing, and if I did have the fast loads, this TAS would clock in at 52 minutes and 15 seconds. So it's unfortunate that the emulator doesn't have fast loads like a PS2 does, but technically the loads that I've got are closer to what a real PS1 would have. So on the any percent TAS that was done on the emulator, that does have fast loads, and console speedruns have fast loads. So I guess the most accurate time to label this TAS would be as a 52:15 if you wanted to compare it to something like an RTA time. Not that you should compare TAS runs to RTA ones, because they're of course very different things. Alright, last level coming up is Boulder Dash, and we can actually get the gem this time. So again, pretty standard stuff, just zigzagging through doing spins, everything we've learned so far in this TAS. I'm going to be outrunning the boulder quite a bit, and you'll barely even see it by the end of it. I'm going to be bouncing on boxes in these corridors as much as I can, but the roof can slow me down because I'll bonk on it quite a bit. These platforms also give me the boost on them as well. Now, unfortunately, I have to weave around these things quite a bit, but luckily it doesn't lose too much time because of Z-axis optimization. And TNT spin there. That's the TNT that the speedrunners won their Aku Aku mask for, just in case they take damage doing that and die. And that's sort of the main reason why my level order can be different to theirs. When we get to the end of the level and we see the gem, if you ride that and hit the boulder, you can actually die during the cutscene. It's really actually that I outrun the boulder here. Otherwise I might hit it right now and then I would die. These boxes in here are quite tricky to get actually. You've got to kind of bounce up and then get the 2 underneath. But I can use the plants to break a lot of these boxes here. That's going to be 100%. I'd encourage you to watch the percentage counter here and watch it jump straight up to 100. It's pretty funny. The reason being is because right now it's
Using a holding page as doobie.
I don't quite know why you don't have to do them, but it's pretty nice that we don't have to in this
I've done that before.
Okay, now we're going to head to the Great Hall. So we actually haven't been in the cortex yet. We just go straight to the Great Hall and unlock the secret ending, and that's 100%. If we get the secret ending, it's all good. So there's kind of like a path of gems in the Great Hall, and that'll allow us to get through and actually access the end of that level. Alright,
I didn't know that.
Clear gems making a path. You might be wondering, is it possible to skip some gems? The answer is yes. If you use zip-zagging, which we didn't use in this run, you can actually get through this entire level without getting any gems. And you can see that in the any percent lose out if you choose to have a look. And that is the run done. As just a reminder, in TAS timing, that's 56:41. With the RTA timing, that's 55:56. But if we had the fast loads like the console does, RTA timing would be a 52:15. This This TAS also had 257,921 re-records, which basically means that's how many times I went back. This is the 8-bit Beast, and welcome to the Banjo-Kazooie 80% TAS demonstration. So first of all, I'll explain what a TAS is. Essentially, it's a perfect playthrough of the game without any mistakes. The way I achieve this is by slowing it down and going frame by frame, deciding exactly what buttons to press, and that makes it so there's no mistakes. This is also something called a low tab, stands for low optimization tool assisted demonstration, which means that I didn't spend years and years trying to make it absolutely perfect. So there will be tiny little mistakes, but you won't really be able to perceive them. Okay, so the first thing we'll notice is that I won't be starting a new game. I'm going into a pre-existing file, and this is something called the FFM glitch. FFM stands for Furnace Fun Moves. Now, what it does essentially is it lets me take all the moves that are on this save file and put them onto a new save file. It's a very odd glitch, but it's used in most Banjo-Kazooie speedruns as the standard, so I've made the decision to use it in this TAS as well. You've seen the 100% TAS by Hyper-Resonance. That does not use FFM, but this one will. It's just a bit of a difference. Now, just very briefly, this is an any percent TAS, which means that I'll be getting from the start of the game to the end of the game as fast as possible with no restrictions, apart from...
Yeah, I'm glad that I never got caught as well.
So we won't be using any...
Too many times I've had close calls with cops.
Now, part of FFM, the glitch, is I have to have a game over in a Furnace Fun minigame. What that does is it stores your moves that you have when you go into the minigame, and it restores them the next time you're in the lair. And the difference is the next time we go into the lair will be on a new save file. So we'll have all the moves from this file in our new game, but we won't have anything else from this file. So what I'm doing right now is just dying and getting down to 0 lives so we can game over. And then next life we'll see something called a tile skip. So we have to get to a minigame square. Normally you'd have to answer these 4 questions before it, but we're just going to jump straight to it. From underneath, ground pound through. There's a very tiny little bit where you can ground pound through. And in here we're going to see the first of a glitch called a bit clip. I'll let it speak for itself. And there we go, straight through the floor. Essentially what happens there is, in this game, there are teeny tiny little gaps in the floor. So the floor is made up of a bunch of triangles. Where 2 triangles meet, there are sometimes tiny gaps, and these gaps are absolutely tiny. So if you look at 1 pixel on the screen, it's maybe 1/10,000th the size of that pixel.
Fuck.
Okay, so time...
I got a $300 fine for drinking in Lundy Street while seated in a car because it was a dry zone. Fucking hell. That's fucked.
And it saves a little bit of time in the grunty fight as well.
Yeah, I remember actually
So with 80%
years ago in my local town, before I moved out, it was a no alcohol zone,
so we'll see how many of those we end up needing.
but I was lucky on a technicality that for 24 hours between the day that it ended and between the day of the start of the new dry area, I was actually pulled up by a copper for drinking on the street, and then I pointed at the sign and he went, "Oh fuck, it's technically no dry zone anymore, not until tomorrow," and he didn't give me a fine. But he was licking his lips before, going, "Oh yeah, nice, I get to fine this cunt for drinking in public street." Yeah, because for that 24 hours, it technically wasn't a dry zone. Fuck, $300 fine. Back in the day that I got caught, it was only 115. Fucking shows how far fucking everything goes, hey.
As of now, that is a requirement to beat Banjo-Kazooie. We don't have any way around that. I will talk about some theories around it later, but there's nothing that actually works in practice. So we're going to be getting tokens. There's 5 tokens in Mumbo's Mountain. You'll notice that I'm going quite out of the way. The reason for that is we have to get almost every single token we can grab at this point, because we'll basically be going to Mad Monster Mansion after this, and we need 20 tokens by then. Quick thing to get up by Conga, and we're going to learn eggs from bottles. Now, eggs is the only move that I'll learn in this run. So bottles just gave me 50 eggs, and we're going to bit flip out. And the reason that I'm learning eggs is so that I can get those 50 eggs. Apart from that, we've learned every move from FFM, so we have all the moves now. Coming up, we're going to see a new type of big clip. Sometimes I call this a wall big clip or a non-ground pound big clip, but basically Banjo will be able to pass through the 50 note door. And there we go. Now, really important, that kind of big clip is only possible on the PAL version of the game. PAL is like the European or Australian version compared to what speedrunners would normally use, which is the US version. The reason it's only possible on PAL is because PAL runs at 50 frames a second, NTSC runs at 60 frames a second, or I guess on Banjo-Kazooie it's 30 and 20. But essentially PAL speeds up Banjo to compensate.
Can't sleep in your car while pissed.
Speed to get through the floor.
That's another nice thing.
NTSC, but you either have to jump from a higher platform or ground pound through the ground. So we're going to see another wall bit clip, or one of those other power only bit clips here. You'll notice I'm going to poop an egg before this, and get a grunty text box. Both of those things are really important, because to do one of these wall bit clips, we actually need a lag frame. So the game will lag when it's doing too many things. I had it hit the enemy with the egg and have the grunty text box show up at the same frame. And we're going to do that again here. Hit the enemy with the egg on the frame that we go through the floor. And those grunty text boxes are actually on a timer, so they come up every couple of minutes or so. So I had to plan out the route so that grunty text box would come up at that perfect time, otherwise we couldn't clip past the 180 note door. And just a reminder that for all these big clips, I have hacked in the correct positions, but they are all possible to do given enough trial and error. And next thing is the 350 note door skip, and we're going to fall through from the top. This is going to be more of a traditional ground pound bit clip through, which means we have to get up a bit higher. You can clip through Grunty's chin with a ground pound, but when you recoil out of that ground pound, you come back inbounds and you can't get past the door.
Oh yeah, a lot of it is beautiful street art, hey. There's actually some Mario and Zelda characters on a bridge in my local area, actually.
So what we essentially need to do in this run is get the pumpkin and raise the water level, because that will help us get through the lair to use the final boss. Apart from that, we can pretty much skip all the note doors, given enough trying. So it's really just a matter of getting these tokens and getting the pumpkin. And a big clip into Mad Monster Mansion. Do note that you can get into Mad Monster Mansion without a big clip. There's another strategy where you jump off the roof and clip into the stair, but big clips have obsoleted that. And we actually use that big clip in real-time speedruns. We do about a 1 minute setup together. And we do a Taz jump off this token to save a bit of time, and then we're going to go into the setup. With a big clip, of course. That's probably slower, but I thought it was fun, so I left it in. Now, with Mad Monster Mansion, we're going to be essentially just collecting a bunch of tokens, because we need 20 tokens, and we only have 10 so far. So, while I'm getting tokens in Mad Monster Mansion, I'm going to talk a bit about FFM. So this Taz uses FFM, and there's also another potential category that does not use FFM. Not using FFM means we'd have to learn all the moves in the run, but it has the bonus of you don't have to have a save file already on the cartridge. So it's a little bit cleaner to not use FFM. The reason that I use FFM in this Taz, mainly because that's the standard for real-time speedruns, and because it's faster to use FFM. But also there's some cool tricks in the FFM run. This bit's called here, ground pound off the bat. But yeah, a no FFM run would go into Treasure Trove Cove to learn flying, and it would have a bit of trouble skipping the 450 note door, so it might go into Frazizi Peak. Another Taz jump off this feather, just that little bit of mid-air jump in Talon Truck. One token in here, and we're leaving. For this next bit of MMM, I'm just going to let you watch some movement without commentary of these last few tokens. Okay, we're skipping some of the maze by going on top. And we've got a token right in the back. I would like to have big clipped from the token to the beehive, but I checked and there really weren't any big clips in this bit of the maze, so we do have to go the long way around. We're going to do a beehive jump to get out of the maze and grab our last two tokens. Just a quick note that I'll make about the German language choice as well. I said the German saves a little bit over a second, so 1 second in Spiral Mountain and a bit more in the Grunty fight. The reason that you don't see that in normal speedruns is because they play on the US version. German is only an option in PAL. And PAL can do the fancy big clips, but for normal speedruns it's slower. Now we've got the pumpkin, which was pretty much the main goal of this run, so we just eat very quickly. And there we go. Pumpkin can big clip out like that, but it needs a bit more height. Usually Banjo could ground pound through, but that's not an option here. Now we're going to go and raise the water level. Just while we're on this, I did have a few theories to skip it, and some that are getting a bit close. If you're familiar with Xbox speedruns, there's a glitch called DDA, or Demo Desync Adventure, where you desync the demo and start the run. You make Banjo die in Rusty Bucket Bay demo, and then you start the run in Rusty Bucket Bay. That would skip the water level, but there's no way to do that on the N64 version. And Xbox is slow because it can't do those wall bit clips, and we don't have any way to properly taz it.
It's late. Yeah, I know, eh? It's getting late.
Through water triangles.
Lucky I've got the next couple of days off.
Then you could theoretically raise up through a water level triangle. So there's a glitch called hyperbuoyancy, where if you don't know how to swim, Banjo, when he gets stuck underwater under a pipe, will keep raising upwards and his upward speed will keep increasing. So if you could get his upward speed to increase enough, theoretically he could fly up to the top of the roof and skip raising the water level. But the issue with that is when you do hyperbuoyancy and make Banjo rise up, he'll hit the surface of the water and lose all of his speed if he tries to go up through it. So for hyperbuoyancy to work, you would need Banjo to raise up and then clip through, like big clip through the water from underneath. Unfortunately, I haven't got that to work in practice. I have found spots that would work to big clip through, but the issue is if you're going too fast, for some reason you can't get through the water. And also setting it up so that you could big clip through the water and manage your hyperbuoyancy is a bit unrealistic.
Oh yeah, I've played them when I was
It might happen one day.
younger.
It would save a lot of time on this speed run, but for now this Taz will just raise the water level. That's just like
playing
is
them.
very important. The water level skip is also
Had a
very
demo version actually, demo disc version of with those games on it.
Now, just while we're doing this little bit, I'd like to shout out a few people. So first of all, Isotage and Mittens for developing Scripthawk, which helped immensely with tazzing this. Ringrush for some routing ideas and inspiration. He made a few other Banjo tazzes, including low moves. That Cow Guy for doing the low A button challenge and some scripts. And Hyper Resonance for doing some BK tazzing and teaching me a lot about movement. Also the entire Banjo community, of course. So we're doing 450 skip here, going through the floor, and just watch how many feathers I use. It wasn't many at all. So that was really exciting when I got that to work. In fact, that actually means that I got too many feathers before. A thing about 450 skip is I would like to do a wall bit clip through 450, but unfortunately there's no big clip spots near that door, so that's an issue. There's sort of a double ground thing. There's like a transparent layer and then a normal layer of ground, and that's preventing us. Coming up is 640 skip as well. You'll be seeing the traditional RTA 640 skip, but theoretically we could wall bit clip past 640 node door, but I have trouble making the lag frame work, and RTA is about as fast anyway. Do note that you could get the lag frame very easily if the shrapnel enemy was in this room, and then you could put eggs onto it. But the issue is, because we haven't been into Treasure Trove Cove, the shrapnel enemy actually isn't here. So if we were doing a no FFM TAS, this room would be a little bit faster because the shrapnel would be here for producing lag. But we're just going to do 640 skip normally here. So we're going to jump onto this ledge and build up a lot of downward speed, clip through the corner of the floor, and fly behind the 640 note door. Okay, coming up is 765 note door skip. This is a fairly standard wall bit clip. I discovered during this TAS that
nice.
it can help to create more lag. It can't just create lag on its own.
Fuck, I didn't know you were a girl.
Enough that it causes
I thought you were a guy.
So
Oh,
our
bad.
Furnace Fun skip. Joint
Oops.
discovery by myself, Hyper Resonance, and Captain Cole. You can get caught on the corner of Furnace Fun like we saw before, and you can actually use it to gain height and jump across the board. So I discovered getting caught on the corners, and
There
then
you go, I
Cole pieced
didn't
the
know
rest
that.
of it together into skipping the entire board. So we'll see it here. If you can see Banjo's shadow, he is jumping on the corner of the white squares. There is, like, this is not going to be RTA viable. It's incredibly difficult to TAS, but there it is. And 8-10 note door skips coming up.
Yeah, I thought you were.
Absolutely huge,
I'm
except
used to
for
guys in the
40
chat.
because otherwise we'd need 810 notes. Now I'm collecting an egg there to get the text box, and when the egg box goes, the cauldron box will start. That cauldron box starting causes enough lag to get through the floor. The reason that I needed the egg text box is so that it would buffer and wait for the cauldron one to come up. There's Dora Grunty skip, building up downward speed and jumping behind it, and we're just getting some eggs for the Grunty fight. Now, it would have been faster for me not to get eggs and just collect them in the fight, but that is one of the things about this being a low TAD. I'd rather just have it and be safe rather than having to...
Yeah, well, my bad then, sorry.
But that's a way to save...
I didn't realise.
Now, as we start finishing this off, I'll note that when this TAS was about to come out, I put up a quiz for people to guess.
There was always a tomboy. Oh, yeah.
G's would get,
Yeah, that happens.
how many bit clips we would do. If you'd like to see who had the closest guess for that poll, just check the YouTube description of this video.
What is it? You got tomboy, you got butch, you got
And we're finishing Grunty off here. So
a manly girl, all those things.
And we're going to fly up. There'll be a glitch coming up which avoids doing some beak bombs. So I'm going to do the first 2 beak bombs normally. And we're going to fly above her and ground pound here. And there we go. So that saves a bit of time over beak bombing normally, and it's also useful in low moods challenge runs. Here is Jinjo statue. It's fairly stable for normal RTA speedruns. The first Jinjo statue will come up here, and we're going to boot eggs into it, and then we're going to run off. What this will do is it will overlap the cutscene of the Jinjo statues appearing with the cutscenes of the first one being completed. And that saves a bit of time because we're watching 2 cutscenes at once. Now we've got 3 more statues to hit. Luckily, because it's a TAS, we can just aim without looking, so that's always nice. 3 eggs for each statue. And I'm going to do something fun here and hold off from hitting Grunty with them for now until all 3 can hit her at once. That achieves her being knocked off of where she's supposed to be. So she's supposed to be on that little pillar, but she's down here. Just a little fun thing you can do in this house. So a small glitch coming up called Rocket Banjo. It'll be pretty obvious why it's called that when we see it. There we go. That's starting at ground pound at the same time as the cutscene, and it gives you the upwards velocity from the ground pound without interrupting it. I'm going to use a damage boosting strat in a second. I'm not sure if it's faster, but I thought it was a bit fun. And timing would stop here. So there we go. Now the final timings, if we're talking about TAS timing, that starts from when the console is powered on until the final.
Alright. What else is there? else is there? Hmm. Hmm.
Hello, I'm.
Continue watching
Alright,
this.
now that it's spring, I can clear out Twin Islands, so I'll head to Goron Race first. Here I'll.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. I'm planning on fucking off the bed, to be honest, because I'm tired.
The ramp. Goron Race is kind of a pain in speedruns, and there's no way around it. I need a bottle of gold dust from Source, even though I got it earlier with SRM. To start off, I'll do a little trick. I'll roll in a circle while the timer counts down, just making sure not to cross the starting line before Go pops up, so that I'm at full speed once the race starts. That doesn't give me any advantage over the other Gorons, since there's significant rubber banding in this race, but it at least does.
Yeah, we don't really.
That I have infinite magic here, so
Well, we used to say age, sex, location,
but the
but
strategy
we don't really say it anymore.
runs and
Mainly because, you know, nowadays you don't really need an age or a sex or a location. Anybody can make up their own fucking age, sex, and location. So, like, if you want to be a girl, you can be a girl. If you want to be a guy, you can be a guy. Fuck, if you want to identify as whatever you want, you can identify as whatever you want.
This is looking pretty good.
Like, you could identify as a fucking washing machine if you want.
Yeah, that's good. Wanted to hit that Goron.
Whole world has gone fucking insane.
Alright, not bad. Take that. Next up is the underwater art piece.
I identify as the lawnmower.
Nice. The thing. Usually hitting water interrupts that slide down the slope, but if you start the slide in just the right place and press B frame perfectly as you're sliding down, then you can get that to happen. Maybe that can be made consistent, but I just start sliding wherever, mash B and hope for the best.
Yeah, you start getting in rhythms, go to bed then.
So I just swapped.
I don't identify.
Keep that swapped gold dust to the smithy, so I can come back on
Yeah.
day 3 and grab the gilded sword without spending my real gold dust, which I still want to have for the curiosity shot later. And just to review, normally you would have to come to smithy twice.
I identify as a
But I got the razor sword through SRM earlier, so I just.
As a washing machine, yeah, that's
Since
it.
it's the final upgrade, it's
So you
only
can
on
dump
purpose for
your
runs.
load in me any day
So
you
now I have a
want.
sword on me until I come back here on day 3. which
Stop it, Tom.
May or may not be the day after day 2. We'll see. But I do have the Great Fairy Sword already, so I can still hit owl statues and do anything else I need to do this
Alright, yeah, have a
week.
good one,
Owl
Cass.
statues I will. Remember, I'm very limited right
Have
now.
a good one, mate.
Rid of index warp, and now I have
Yeah, I'm
only
probably
3
gonna
owl
fuck off
statues
soon.
in places that I don't want to warp right now.
Probably in like the next 5 minutes.
Sometimes rolling over that scene gets rid of the charged roll.
Oh.
And I'll skip this upcoming ramp just by rolling to the side. It's a little bit
I'm a
faster to stay on the
lady,
ground than to
apparently.
go airborne.
I'm a lady.
Is Link impressed by Snowhead? No.
Reminds me of
I
that
haven't
little
gone through the
Britain
loads yet, just
episode,
have to
Emily
resolve
Howard.
this entrance. There's a heart piece in this area, and it's going to be convenient to void out after getting it. Now, to get this heart piece, you're meant to cross these invisible platforms using the lens of truth, which maybe I should have used. Whoops. And then you're supposed to use the Scarecrow song to call the Scarecrow so you can hook shot to the final platform. I don't have the Scarecrow song, but I do have explosives. There we go. So now I'll just line up, slash to the edge, and do some of the normal acrobatics with explosives. I'll do a little hover and then a mega flip over to the platform. And I guess I haven't pointed this out yet, but you see how I did that second hover instantaneously, whereas for the first one I had to wait out the bomb's timer? That was because I used a bomb shoe instead of a bomb, and bomb shoes explode instantaneously when Link drops them midair, in most circumstances. So that's very convenient for hovers. So like I said, to get back to that Snowhead entrance, I'm going to void out, but I'm going to do it in a special way. I'll slash to the edge and do an ocarina dive while playing Song of Double Time to store the song, and then I'll activate the stored song by pulling up some text during this load. If this sounds at all familiar, it's because it's exactly what I did about an hour ago in Deku Palace to do a day reset, and the effect here is exactly the same. If you look at the clock, I'm all the way back at the beginning of day 2, without erasing any of the progress that I made on day 2. That gilded sword might take a little longer now. There are a few reasons that I wanted to stay at day 2 for now. I have one more long walk to do for Woods of Mystery this cycle, and I want the day 2 Woods layout for that. I still want to get Ramane's Mask, which happens on day 2, and it'll be useful for some mini-games. Anyway, I hit the Snowhead Owl statue, and now I'm getting the Snowhead Temple Stray Fairy reward double magic, so now I'll have double infinite magic instead of just infinite magic. Hooray. And unfortunately, unlike the Great Fairy cutscene back in Clocktown that gave me the Great Fairy Mask on the first frame, which allowed me to skip the cutscene, this one doesn't actually give double magic until right when it shows up on the HUD in just a sec. So unfortunately, I couldn't skip this cutscene and still get the reward. As far as my warping ability is concerned, this seems like the end of the line. I'm all the way at the northernmost end of Termina and only have 4 owl statues, none of which I want to go to right now. Sounds like I'll need to do a lot of backtracking. But no, this is by design. Remember earlier when I got out of bounds in the Dodongo Grotto to exit from that Deku Palace Grotto instead? Just like the grottos, all the entrances in the game are also on the same map as each other. So if I just get out of bounds in this fairy fountain, then I can exit from a different route. The name for the trick, by the way, is an alternate exit. This is a fairy fountain alternate exit.
Alright, cunts.
One other thing
I
don't think I
am
mentioned about
gonna
hovering,
fuck off out of
when I
here.
do this mega flip and I stop myself with the bomb shoe, you'll hear the targeting sound. There it was. That was
We're
me locking onto the bomb shoe and a couple of
going
things that I
to
had before it exploded while I was hovering off of it. Normally,
catch
I
up on some sleep.
locked in target mode, but doing that allowed me to unlock the camera.
Excuse me.
Correct that last mega flip. So with that, I've moved all the way from the north side.
This is the
of
best
the
channel I
south
had
side,
in a
where
long while.
very convenient.
Oh, thanks,
Now,
mate.
I don't actually
I
have to
appreciate
use
that.
chest, but I can do a long jump as Zora from this platform to get to the owl statue platform.
As usual, don't forget to like and subscribe and all that sort of bullshit.
Since I don't have index warp active, and now I'll
And
finally
then,
go
yeah.
finish Woodfall Temple.
Drop by whenever you want.
Oh hey, and I got a Deku stick from Source.
If you get the chance or whenever I'm online.
Woodfall Temple, I completely cleared the east wing. I won't need to go back there, but that only got me the bow.
The more people who come by and say hello, the merrier the stream is.
Left to get. But the fire arrow that I got between that trip and this one will speed that up quite a bit.
No problem, my friend. Yeah, I'm trying to build an audience, but it doesn't really go too well.
And I ignored it at the time. Now, I'll keep ignoring it.
Gotta eventually get rid of all the fucking Pokies videos and stuff like that. I'm not going to delete them. I'm just going to private them for a little while.
From source as well.
And I might make a secondary channel where I have them uploaded on
Now
that.
in this room I can skip the block,
Oh.
jumping and hitting a pop-up.
Oh, excuse
and I can skip
me.
the entire puzzle by shooting a fire arrow at the torch instead of bringing the fire all the way
And
around.
that way
The torch on the opposite side.
I can have the channel as a,
Just need to kill 2 of the
like this main channel is my
Yep.
gaming channel, and then
Kill these guys even if they do
the other
not
channel
resist.
is, you know, the channel that uploads pokies and stuff like that. That's my plan anyway, so I haven't really thought of a way of doing it yet, but
And the doors are straight
we'll
shot
figure it
from the
out
back
eventually.
wall.
Anyway, cunts,
Next up are the 3 fairies in this room, which I can get out of all their hiding places from this fan.
I will see you all tomorrow. Yes, I've had a shave. You can tell. Still a bit funny not having a beard. It's completely, it's messing me up at the moment. I'm used to having a nice beard on my face, but yeah, take a little while to grow it out again, but they'll be fine. Anyway, have a good one, cunts, and I'll see you all next time. Have a good one.